Hey, Patrick, how you doing?
Yeah, good man. Yeah,
Fantastic.
good to see you.
Thanks so much for being with us. Hey, I'd love to hear from you a little about what your financial advisor told you about trading and actively managing yourself, your funds yourself, and what you were led to believe before you really discovered how to trade for yourself.
Oh, he definitely said that everyone in the industry was sharks,
Oh, yes.
and that it was a myth.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, basically that everyone loses money in that. So
Now, everyone, is that true?
certainly not in our case.
Right. Now, most people, is that true?
Yeah, I think probably 95% of people struggle to make, you know, good returns.
Anything at all, I would say.
Hmm.
Yeah. Now, what do you think the difference is? Something that we've been talking about, right?
Yeah, well, I think with the trader success system, it's proper education. You know, it's actual education in how to uh, become a trader. You know, so
Mm,
that you know all the fundamentals.
yeah, absolutely. Now, when we say fundamentals, the
Especially
fundamentals of
backtest.
technical trading, not the fundamentals of funny mentals, as in how
Yeah,
good the
that's right.
company
Yeah.
is. So, when what was the reality like when you started to learn? What was the reality like compared to what you expected in terms of the content and the knowledge and what you're going to get? Because you were led to believe that we were all sharks. Clearly, that's not true. There are sharks in the industry. I won't lie, but we're not all sharks. So, what was the reality like?
Well, I've done a fair bit of research on what you offered. So the reality did meet expectations actually, but it was very different to what he said it would be.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very deep material, deep and wide, I'd say.
Mm,
And very, very accessible. Definitely a steep learning curve, but everything was foundational on the next thing. So once you had the next thing, then you were able to move on to the next level of learning quite quickly. So,
yeah. So,
so
steep learning curve, but it feels fast. Yes.
yeah, that's right. It's steep and fast. You're just realizing within 6 or 8 weeks how much more knew.
Yeah.
You
And I think
know,
that's key, right? Like, how does it feel for you when you have momentum in your learning and you're actually progressing quickly and you can see yourself progressing? How's that feel?
oh, it's awesome, especially to have that clarity.
Mm,
You know, to be certain that you're filling in a piece of knowledge that is really vital to you being profitable. Yeah,
mm.
it's a great
Yeah.
feeling
Nice. Very
because
good.
it creates focus.
Yeah. Now we one of the things I talk about a lot is strategic diversification. We're going to cover that tomorrow.
Mm.
But you trade across quite a few different markets. Which markets are you
Yep.
trading right now?
We're trading, apart from crypto, we're trading Australia, Hong Kong, US, and we're on the cusp of Canada. We've done all the work for Canada. So, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
just waiting to go live. Good. So how did you feel? Because you started in Australia. When
Mhm.
you made that first step into an international market, because there's people here from all over the world.
Yeah.
How did that first step feel? Were you nervous about trading in a different market?
Just only nervous about the unknown because we were going short in the US, but I had confidence in everything that we were doing. It was just that, being on the high diving platform and saying, okay, I'm jumping in the pool,
Yeah.
knowing that wasn't blind. So yeah, it was good. It felt adult actually. It felt like, oh, I'm growing up.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, we call that adulting in our house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So all the emotions that go with that, but good. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. So one of the things I know is that a lot of people are nervous about trading outside their home market. So for someone sitting in the US, looking at, I sit in Australia, I trade Australia, Hong Kong, Canada, US, crypto. You're doing basically the same thing. What would you say to someone who's worried about going outside their home market?
Well, if you've done proper back testing, I think we always come back to that in the online community, don't we?
Mm,
Um, then it's just numbers on a screen. And so, in terms of emotion, that's a really helpful thing to put aside. And also, it provides immediate diversity and uses capital that you already have.
mm,
So we didn't have to put new capital into our allocation when we went into the US.
mm.
So it was using capital that was already was not being used by our Australian system. So I'd say it's actually vital. So you've got to have a way of managing any emotions that you've got around that to provide you with smooth returns.
Yeah, good. Just I just want to jump in and explain that because it may not be clear to everyone. So
Sure.
Patrick was talking about having an Australian strategy, and then when he went to the US, he didn't have to allocate additional capital to the strategy. And the reason was the Australian strategy was a long side. It made money when the market was going up. And the first US strategy was a short side. It made money when the market was going down. So those two strategies weren't fully invested at the same time.
Mm.
It was one or the other. So you can trade both. And, you know, depending on which way the market's going, one is going to be active, the other one is going to be not. So Patrick, you didn't actually have to add any money. You could just add two different systems, and that increased the percentage of time that you were able to be profitable. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and really helped our returns.
Yeah, absolutely. So I
Yeah.
remember you said something to me way back when you first went short. And I think it went something along the lines of, I wished we had
Done it earlier.
done it earlier, right? That's exactly right. So, because it really helps you sleep at night and really helps smooth the equity curve, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We outperformed the Australian market by, well, 100% in fact, so as the Australian market was going down, we only went down, half as much as the Australian market did. So it was very, very strategic.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was, so you were much heavier in Australia, which was declining. You had a
Yep,
small allocation in the US, which was
correct.
also declining, but you were profiting from that decline. And
That's
so
right.
that really buffered your losses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, yeah, really helped.
And then we had a conversation a little while after that. And I think it was something along the lines of, I wish I had allocated more capital to
Yeah,
the side.
yes, that's right. Yeah, well, that's my personality. Yeah, but we have allocated more short, and we will in the future. The next time short goes on with using the capital allocation process that you teach.
Mm.
So we're not taking on silly risk, but we're just optimizing the way our short systems will work. Yeah.
Yeah. So how does that, I want to ask you about that capital allocation. This is more of an advanced topic, just so everyone
Sure.
knows. But when you get multiple systems and you figure out how much capital you should allocate to each of them, how does that make you feel about the kind of robustness, rigorousness of your whole trading plan?
Well, it grows each time we add more capital because what we see is so our confidence grows
Mm.
because we have this phrase that we use in the community, or that I use, it's lazy capital.
Yeah.
It's capital that's not being deployed. And so as we've matured as traders, we've been able to find systems that pick up those little bits of extra capital and just go in and out of the market a bit more nimbly, say with a day system. And that makes us feel more confident also about the long term, in the future. So
Yeah, got it. So what would you say to someone who's on the fence about systematic trading? They're kind of hearing Trader Acceleration Week for the first time and they're thinking, okay, sounds a bit technical, sounds a bit complicated. I don't know if it's for me. What would you say?
well, I would say if you can manage this Zoom call, then you should do systematic trading. I'm not I'm not a technical person. I'm a big picture person. But my wife, who's not here, is the detail person in the team, and I could trade by myself without her. I could have learnt all this, and it provides so much certainty and really manages your emotions. I did try some systematic trading on paper before I used your system. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and that was a nightmare. And this is like daylight between that and this systematic approach. And I think there's a little bit of a myth that I notice with people coming into systematic trading in our community. They think they can outperform the system by being discretionary.
Ah, yeah. How good is
You
that?
can see that they still want to be better than the system, but you can't be.
Yeah.
And we didn't know anything about trading beforehand. We would
Yeah.
just invest and hold. And
Yeah.
so if you've got no trading knowledge, you can do it and be profitable.
Yeah. I have one last question for you, and it's about the emotional side. So I want you to think about when you had all of your investments under the control of the financial advisor. And I got nothing against, financial advisors and all that. It's whatever people need to do. But I'm interested in your emotions when you saw the market tanking or when you saw the fluctuations in the market and it was being managed passively by someone else compared to now where you have some certainty about your different systems, your mix, your portfolio mix, and the fact that you can actually make money when the market is falling. How can you help us understand your emotional kind of state in each of those two situations? What's
Well,
different?
I think beforehand, before systematic trading, I probably just felt glum. I got a little bit like, oh, this is the way it is. And then there was increasing frustration,
Right.
because although our fees are very transparent and the fee structure is, I think, fair in our particular financial advisor, is such a large percentage of our income, and that didn't change whether performance went up or down. They didn't suffer if our returns were low.
Yeah.
So so this just feels so much more empowering and
Empowering.
control, also satisfying that you're getting a decent returns.
I love that. Empowering,
Yeah,
control, and satisfaction.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
that's just brilliant. I
yeah.
mean, if we could have more of those in our life, like who wouldn't choose that?
And it also feels visible. You can actually see what's
Um,
happening.
Yes. Yeah. I think having transparency of what you're doing
Yeah.
is huge. Whereas when someone else is doing it and you can't see behind the curtain,
Mm.
I actually personally, I find that really hard.
Mm.
I only trade my own money. I don't give it to anyone else, at least for stock market and crypto investments.
Yeah.
I find that too difficult because I like the transparency.
Yeah, you're waiting 3 months to get a quarterly report.
Oh,
No, nice.
jeepers. And then they're so boring to read as well. Yeah. Hey, Patrick, thanks so much. You are an absolute kind of beacon of, a perfect example of a student who's, dedicated, focused, asks questions, seeks understanding, and then gives it back. Because one of the great things about the community is when you're new, you ask a lot of questions. And when you've got some experience now, like Patrick does, you're in a position to answer those questions. And Patrick, you're doing that more and more and more. And I see the new students benefiting from you and your experience, which is fantastic. So thank you for everything that you do in our community. We really value yourself and Marion, who hopefully we're going to meet tomorrow. So thank you for being here and for sharing some of your experience today.
Sure. And I'll just say lastly, if anyone's in the Facebook community and they want to message me more about the Trader Success System, I'm happy to take any messages to it. So
Nice.
have a
Thanks,
good day,
Patrick.
guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, have a great day, and I'll see you in our next session.